Well, it really is just the most beautiful day. Coming out on the bike today, I wanted to just talk a little bit about exercise. It seems to me we all know about exercise. Two most important things. First of all, we know that we've all got to do some exercise, or we get into some pretty terrible shape pretty quickly. We also know how difficult it is to keep up a good exercise program that is a consistent exercise program that we maintain over the longer term. So that's the challenge that we all face. I'm 71 years old. I'll be 72 years old in 2 months. And upon attaining my 70 plus 10, I decided maybe I better actually do something more in the way of some regular exercise. Not that I was ever lazy or idle before, but I thought regular exercise is the way to go, not just a sporadic fad of a bit here and a bit there. So the activity that I liked the most was bike riding. And a stationary bike really just doesn't do it. It's about the most boring thing you could ever hope to do. So I did buy a little mountain bike style, little fat bike, which I've featured on the previous video. And it's a lovely little bike. Just 7 gears on the back and none on the front, which is fine. And little fat tyres, just like this bike's got. And it gives it some suspension, which is all very nice and smooths out the bumps. So I started to ride the bicycle, and at first, as always is, when you're enthusiastic, it's quite a lot of fun. And you get out and you start riding around some streets, and you do get in some good exercise over time, which is all nice. And you feel like you're getting somewhere. But then after a while, it starts to get a bit boring. Highway police here. I found that after a while, the streets close in that I can easily access and were within my range of available energy needing to be expended to get in the exercise I needed, soon became rather boring. And I wanted to travel further. But I knew for sure that one day I'm going to be laid up under a tree somewhere and waiting until I can get enough reserves of energy back to make the trip home. Or alternatively to that, of course, is to call up my lovely wife and ask her to bring the pickup over and throw the bike in that and drive me back home again, which would be a bit of an embarrassment, really. So I was noticing the trend for people to buy e-bikes, and then some people quite rightly saying how good they were for people to get in exercise on, which was a very good idea. And I thought I should perhaps try that. But then started to look at some of the options, which was put a conversion kit on the bicycle that I had, or should I purchase an e-bike? I found that the price of the kits, by the time you're finished buying the kit, the batteries, various bits and pieces, then you go to all the work of installing it on your own bicycle and troubleshooting it and getting it all to be working the way that you think you should. The cost was somewhat similar to some of the e-bikes that I saw that I could buy already online, ready to go, delivered, put them together and go. So, and of course the benefit to that is you don't have to give up the bike that you've already got. I've still got my normal bicycle, which I can still ride, or if it becomes totally useless, I can just sell it and recover some of the cost on the e-bike that you're looking at. So how far can I ride? My longest ride so far has been 20 kilometres in a day, which doesn't sound very far for an e-bike. Lots of guys are riding way more than that, and I rarely get down to even half of the battery before I'm home again. But I do try to limit the amount that I use from the battery. Sometimes I even put the pedal assist on 0 and just ride the bike and use the throttle to help me get over some of the hard parts, or use the throttle to give me a bit of a rest for a while as I cool down in the breeze as I go along. I find that works pretty well. So if I've ridden on minimal pedal assist or no pedal assist for some fair period of time, then I'm not exhausted because the bike's doing the real hard grunt work, and I'm getting in lots of exercise as I go along. And boy, as you can see from some of my previous videos, I get out to some of the really interesting and beautiful and worthy places to spend some time, have a look at. So, is an e-bike a good idea for exercise? Hell yeah. In my humble 71-year-old opinion, it is. And the e-bike that I've got here, 26-inch fat wheels, suspension on the front, blah-de-da, it's got a 350 watt motor, got a great big seat on there to keep my butt from getting painful. Otherwise it's not that different to what it came out of the box as. And it serves all my purposes extremely well. Well, that's one way of getting some exercise. In my opinion, these kind of machines are great, but you've got to be really committed if you're going to sustain a long-term exercise program using equipment like this. Getting into a group would help, where you can encourage each other. But you need that kind of encouragement, because essentially the exercise itself is bloody boring. I mean, you just go on and on and on and far out. Whew. You get exhausted, and the next day you line up to go and do it again, and you sort of think, well, maybe a good exercise program needs a day off occasionally, so you take a day off. And there goes the whole scheme. For sure, what people should be doing, if you're not otherwise incapacitated, in order to maintain some reasonable levels of health. Now, I'm not saying I don't miss a good sandwich and a beer occasionally, but I try to keep up with enough exercise just to keep myself reasonably fit and looking forward to another day. And the trick then is, what's the exercise that you would look forward to doing not the exercise that you dread doing and you do because you have to. So there it is. Let's get on the bike and take it out, go for a ride. Well, this puts us back where we started from this morning. We'll be going out onto the big road just over there, and I'll head back on home. So you know what that means. Thanks for joining me on the ride. Hope you'll join me on the next one. Bye-bye.